G'day and welcome to Daily Insights and Storytellings with me, Moon Willow. Really pleased to have you all on board, and I'm just going to put out an apology for not being able to put up a storytelling over the past couple of days. I have no clue as to why. I have sat down and done storytellings, and for some reason it's not recording all the way through. And I really can't figure it out. I just don't understand it. But that being said, we're going to try again now and see what story comes out. I just really appreciate you bearing with me, and I know that there's a couple of you at least that are getting something from these, and that makes my soul sing, which is why I am continuing to attempt to do this today. And as I say, I can't figure it out. I really can't, and I possibly shouldn't be saying all this at the moment, but I just wanted to express it, really, because I know I'm getting a lot coming through, and really feel that this is something that I need to be doing. So, but as I say, I can't figure it out. There's no difference. The phone is in the same place. Everything's the same. So we'll go on. So what I have been sort of looking at over the past couple of days is sort of really acknowledging the fact that this year being 2020 and coming to the end of it, this is giving us the ideal opportunity before we walk into the 21st of December and going into the age of Aquarius. And I have a feeling that a lot of us are going to end up feeling probably discombobulated through that, and really possibly overwhelmed. So taking this time at the moment to really witness our lives and notice those times where we have possibly felt overwhelmed or went through traumatic experiences, painful relationships, having to move really quickly. And as we come out of it, we most likely not have given ourselves the time or the space to give that the space and attention that it needed, and also to notice the synchronicities that would have happened at the time, so that we could get out safely, we could move in a way that kept us safe and kept us going. But when it's something that's been quite painful, we have this propensity and this desire to shut it off and not look at it again. But by doing that, even if it's been a year or two, we most likely find ourselves in a very similar situation. And depending on how cut off we were from the first experience as to how long it takes us to notice it again, to do something about it. So really having a look back and seeing that nothing's always dark, nothing's always light, that there's usually a mix of both, and that's what keeps getting us through. And that the times of real need and being heard, they're the times when magically something appears, that the right people turn up to help get us out. That situation creates a internal response to us, that we really step into our power and actually able to move forward, extricate ourselves from a damaging situation. But if we don't sort of witness that, then we almost have this internal prerequisite to continue to end up back where we were, as it were, and we can utilize and notice those times when things do synchronistically go right, and that's what brings about that happening more often, because we're focusing on the good side of things as opposed to the dark. I'm hoping this is making sense. I really do. So yeah, I'm going to sort of stop that bit now, and we'll see which chakra point would like to be heard at the same time. So we're back into sacral. So very much about the world we're creating. So which follows in what I was saying, that if we allow ourselves the time and space to actually really notice that we're creating our rescue plans at those times, that we are given the opportunity to move out in a manner that is actually, although at the time feels drastic, is actually something that is very beneficial to us and very healing and nurturing for moving forward. So very much in our sacral is our creative space, and we do create the world that we inhabit. We do have that level of power. But if we're giving our power away to somebody else, or we're allowing someone else to make decisions about our lives, that we lose that ability to co-create and create the world that we want to live in. So it is very much looking at, have we given away our power? Are we expecting someone else to rescue us? Are we putting responsibility all the way onto somebody else? Or are we taking ownership of our lives? Are we actually working out what it is we want to manifest? Are we anchoring into ourselves and listening to our guts as well? So there's times, and I'm sure we've all had it, where we've walked into a situation and our gut's saying, go away, we've got to run away, we can't stay here, it's not safe. And at those times, more often than not, we end up pushing that down and we don't acknowledge it. It's like we dismiss it, saying, well, no, that can't be right, this person's so-and-so, and they wouldn't do that to us, and we're being ridiculous. Because we are taught to distrust our gut instinct and our emotional responses. But actually, those emotional responses are really sending us honest, true responses, and giving us proper information as to the fact that we shouldn't be staying there, that actually we should be working out how to get out of there. And that isn't something that will nurture us and help us move forward. And yeah, so it can create a negative landscape. So really in that area, really listening in and really getting to know our emotional responses and what that means, and whether there is a physical reason for it. Because I know that when I'm feeling really tired, that I can actually end up going with a more negative narrative underneath, and can end up being critical of myself. But if I take that step back and breathe, I can actually realize that I haven't had enough sleep, and that's okay to just sit and be. So it's really getting to know our story and our emotional responses to things, and having a deep awareness that there are times when things aren't going to work, and that's okay, and just allow that to be, because usually it'll take a couple of days or a couple of hours for the reason to come through, because there generally is always a reason. So with that, we'll see what cards come out. So if you wouldn't mind putting your energy into the cards for me. I'm going to split them, bottle, bubble, split that way. Try picking them up without disturbing things too much. So 3 cards today, this time, as the bear, the cross and the book. So really, with the bear, really having that protective quality and protecting our sacral and protecting our emotions, and recognizing that our emotional responses to situations is about protecting us from danger and from trauma and from feelings of fear and stress. So if we really connect with our emotional responses and know and bear witness to the fact that that is about supporting us and protecting us, that we can make decisions from a more considered place. And more often than not, especially if we're not giving ourselves space to nurture ourselves and support ourselves, we will find ourselves in a situation and go, shit, I'm here again. And then we can end up in that cycle, well, if we've done it again, this is ridiculous, and that sort of unworthiness and that sort of thought process. But actually, if we give ourselves time and space to really feel into our guts, feel into how we are creating the situations as well, what is it that we're trying to learn at that point? Is it a lesson that we really need to learn again, or have we got enough information? Do we actually now, is it a time to notice and avoid walking that same path again? Is it that we've actually learnt more than enough about trauma and pain that we don't need to go back there again? And really allowing ourselves to be supported and protected from our gut, and listen into when our gut is speaking, what our emotional response is. And I think I've said it before, that if it's that we're looking at something and we're envious or jealous of what somebody else has, it's like, instead of focusing on the fact that that other person has it, actually coming back within and figuring out how do we create that, and say, oh, that's interesting, that is something I would like. Okay, how can I set about creating that for myself? So actually having a dialogue with our emotions, and instead of just assigning it blame or shaming it, etc., but actually really listening in and getting a real feel. Noticing that someone may have a particular lifestyle that we're jealous of, and it's like, okay, why am I jealous of that? What is it that my life is missing that I would like to have their life instead? And then we can actually set about creating that for ourselves, because we do have the power to be able to do that. So really utilising that from a protective way to move forward. And the next card is the cross. So very much allowing the universe as well to help create the world that we'd like to inhabit, and having that recognition that sometimes we create a world to experience, to clear karmic debt, to play out a generational story that needs, or someone has put on us, that needs clearing, that we can change the ending so that we can move through it and we can let go of it as far as the history of our family is concerned. But it's noticing and being aware that that exists, so that we have the choice to either say, yes, I'm happy to do that for our family, for our ancestral line, or actually, no, that's not mine, that belongs to somebody else, and putting that into earth to be transmuted. But also knowing that our family have our backs, that our soul family do, but also our ancestors. Our ancestors are very present with us. And actually acknowledging that so that we can go forward with the support of ancestors that are enabling us to create a better world for ourselves and for others, as opposed to putting us into situations that can be quite negative or dangerous. But also connecting up to source energy, and being aware as well with sort of as we navigate life. I know that I have a lot of friends that I consider my soul family, and we connect on a level that I never thought could be possible. And I'm not related to them in this lifetime that I know of, but I have a sense that we have been connected in previous lives, and utilizing that to move forward as well. But also, again, by connecting with them, it gives me permission to really work out the type of life and relationships I want to create for myself, and how that sort of supports me emotionally, and go forward without repeating patterns. And by checking out with them as well, that I have a gut response over something, and by being able to communicate with others, I can actually get a clearer sense that my gut is telling me the truth, that is real, that is the way that I would like to create and go forward. So really those sort of noticing those connections as well, going back into the polar bear, that that a lot of these connections, soul connections, deep connections, are also about a way of protecting ourselves in moving ourselves forward and creating a world that is comfortable for us, that we can flow more easily, that things aren't a struggle, that actually they just go one thing after the other, and we can flow more freely all the way through. Which brings me into the last card, which is the book. So things yet to be revealed. So very much by really sitting in our sacral space and really witnessing and gauging what it is we would like, or like to experience, how we'd liked, what sort of world we'd like to create, that we'd like to inhabit, because we have got the power of doing that. By revealing that to ourselves, we can start making choices as to how we move forward. I do feel very strongly that we do have all the information within, but it's through having communications and connections with other people that we can actually unlock it, or really get a sense of what it is that we would like to do and how we'd like to move forward. So within these three cards, it's like that we haven't quite got all that information. Although the book is within, we haven't quite opened up to the right page yet, and we have that ability, we have that creative ability to do so. So very much within the carnelian, in the sacral space, that we can create the world that we'd like, but actually noticing that when we're interacting with other people or in other situations, that is giving us information as to how, what we feel might be missing, how do we then create that for ourselves, because we have got the ability to do that. So very much allowing all emotions to flow through, and knowing that we have got the ability, as I say, to create the world that we'd like to live in. So I'm hoping that's resonating for somebody out there. I'm going to see which energy sound song, I never know what to call that, comes through for us today. So Thank you very much for joining me. I am really hoping that this has recorded all the way through. If you haven't already, can you hit that subscribe button for me? And in the meantime, take care of yourselves. I'm hoping that, as I say, I'm hoping this goes through, and I'm hoping to be back on here tomorrow. In the meantime, take care of yourselves. Love you all. Bye for now.